Gaza Strip is here. West Bank is here. We'll just read this on this, okay? The Gaza Strip, Gaza is a self-governing Palestinian territory on the eastern coast of the Mediterranean Sea that borders Egypt on the southwest for 11 kilometers, Israel on the east and north along a 51-kilometer border. Gaza and the West Bank are claimed by the de jure sovereign state of Palestine. The territories of Gaza and the West Bank are separated from each other by Israeli territory, both fall under the jurisdiction of the Palestinian Authority. The Strip has since the Battle of Gaza in June 2007, been governed by Hamas, a Palestinian fundamentalist militant Islamic organization which came to power in the last elections in 2006. It's been placed under Israeli and U.S. international economic political boycott from that time onwards. If none of what is the what were people freaking out about Israelis coming in and like buying property and building houses? Was that not in the Gaza Strip or West Bank, or where was this? I remember reading an article about this a long time ago, but I don't. Was it the West Bank settlements? Okay. Gaza's under a blockade by Israel. The West Bank is where all the settlement is. Okay, cool. Weeks of simmering tensions in Jerusalem between Palestinian protesters, the police, and right-wing Israelis suddenly veered into military conflict on Monday as a local skirmish and the decades-long battle for control of the city escalated into rocket fire and airstrikes in Gaza. After a raid by the Israeli police on the Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem left hundreds of Palestinians and a score of police officers wounded, militants in Gaza responded by firing a barrage of rockets at Jerusalem, drawing Israeli airstrikes in return. The catalyst for the escalation was the conflict over recent Israeli efforts to remove Palestinians from strategic parts of the city. The issue became a rallying cry for Palestinians who saw the moves as ethnic cleansing and illegal, and right-wing Israeli Jews who said they were fighting for their property as landowners while also attempting to ensure Jewish control over East Jerusalem. The dispute, focused on a single Jerusalem neighborhood, has exploded into a major flare in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, gaining world attention after a period in which the Palestinian cause has been largely marginalized by the United States under President Donald J. Trump, by the Arab countries that normalized relations with Israel, and by Israel ruled by a right-wing government for more than a decade. By the end of the day, Monday, Hamas, the Islamist militant group that controls Gaza, had fired rockets at Jerusalem for the first time in 7 years. Israeli airstrikes left at least 20 Palestinians, including 9 children, dead, according to Palestinian officials, and the region was bracing for a cycle of reprisal attacks. For weeks, Palestinians had been protesting the planned eviction of Palestinian families from the Sheikh Jarrah neighborhood of East Jerusalem, leading to clashes with Israeli police and far-right-wing activists. There were also clashes between Palestinian protesters and police elsewhere in the city, as well as a spate of assaults by Jewish and Arab street mods during the holy Muslim month of Ramadan, when tensions often run high. The violence on Monday began after the police entered the mosque compound around 8 a.m. and fired rubber-tipped bullets and stun grenades at stone-throwing Palestinians. The Israeli government said the police had been responding after the Palestinians started throwing stones at them. The Palestinians had stockpiled stones at the site in expectation of a standoff with the police and Jewish far-right groups. Palestinian witnesses said the fighting began after the police entered the mosque compound and began firing. By the afternoon, more than 330 Palestinians had been injured, with at least 250 hospitalized, according to the Palestinian Red Crescent. One person was hit in the head by a bullet and was in critical condition, the medical aid group said, with at least 2 more in serious or critical condition. At least 21 police officers were injured, according to the police. Hamas has been threatening for weeks to respond with force to what it described as Israeli provocations in Jerusalem. Tampering with Jerusalem will burn the heads of the occupiers. Saleh al-Arori, a senior Hamas official, said on Sunday night. On Monday, angered by the raid on Al-Aqsa, Hamas and its allies in Gaza sought to make good on that promise. Hamas militants fired at least 150 rockets across southern and central Israel, the Israeli army said, with at least one landing in a village in the hills west of Jerusalem, causing damage to houses but no casualties. The volley of half a dozen rockets that reached the Jerusalem area were the first to be fired toward the city since 2014, an army spokesman said. Israeli returned fire with airstrikes. Israel will respond with great force. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned in a statement, "We will not tolerate attacks on our territory, on our capital, on our citizens, and on our soldiers. Whoever attacks us will pay a heavy price." The Israeli military said in a statement that an Israeli airstrike had killed 8 Hamas operatives and struck 2 military sites in a tunnel used by militants. Separately, the Islamic Jihad militant group fired an anti-tank missile from the Gaza perimeter toward an Israeli vehicle, wounding the driver. An unusually high number of Palestinian citizens of Israel protested in solidarity with Gaza following the airstrikes, with many photographed waving Palestinian flags. The Palestinian demonstrations of the planned expulsions in Sheikh Jarrah came after years of frustration over Israeli restrictions on building permits in East Jerusalem, which have forced Palestinian residents to leave the city or to build illegal housing and risk demolition. There have also been recent clashes over restrictions on Palestinian access to a popular plaza at the center of Palestinian communal life. The unrest was long predicted to come to a boil on Monday when far-right Israelis were scheduled to march through the Muslim quarter of the Old City. The March on Jerusalem Day, an annual event to mark the capture of East Jerusalem during the Arab-Israeli War in 1967, is seen by Palestinians as provocation. Palestinians claim East Jerusalem is the capital of the future state. Israel annexed it after 1967, a claim most of the world does not recognize. Despite international calls to tamp down the crisis, does U.S. recognize East Jerusalem belong Israel? I'm actually curious about that. I wonder if the U.S. recognizes it. I feel like that's probably the important one. It says it's internationally condemned. Does the U.S. have like a position on this? Didn't Trump recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital? Yeah, but I'm curious about the East Israel thing. What was the capital before? Was it Tel Aviv in Israel before the Trump thing? Or was that just where like the government is stationed or whatever? 86 countries have embassies in Tel Aviv. 0 countries have embassies in Jerusalem. In 1989, Israel began leasing to the U.S. a plot of land in Jerusalem for a new embassy. The 99-year lease cost $1 per year. To this day, the plot has not been developed and remains an empty field. In 1995, The U.S. Congress passed a law requiring America to move the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Proponents said the U.S. should respect Israel's choice of Jerusalem as its capital and recognize it as such. Every president since 1995, President Clinton, Bush, and Obama, has declined to move the embassy, citing national security interests. Every 6 months, the president has used the presidential waiver to circumvent the embassy move. And then Trump, I guess, wanted to follow through with it. Has Biden said anything about the recognition of Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, or has that? He moved the embassy, or he ordered the embassy to move there. Does U.S. have embassy in Jerusalem? Destiny, why do they not want to move it? So I'm going to be speculating a lot here, okay? But I think most of this is probably fairly common sense, right? So there's a battle over who has a right to exist in Jerusalem, with a large number of Palestinians living, especially in eastern Jerusalem, and a large number of Israeli people living in like western central Jerusalem, right? So the idea is that both sides desperately have or want to have like a claim to this land. So if Israel is, or if Israeli people like really want Jerusalem, what Israelis want is Israeli people want, hey, can you guys please recognize this place as our capital? Please, 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 please. It gives us a ton of validation in terms of owning the city. And if the world recognizes it as our capital, we have like way more say to kind of like kick all these losers in the East kind of like out of this place because it's our capital for them, right? But I'm guessing is that like the rest of the world is like, well, our embassies are in Tel Aviv. Let's just go ahead and leave things here for now because if you guys move into Jerusalem and you start trying to recognize shit, it gives you more credence to kick the Palestinians out and shit is going to like ramp up hardcore. Like it's probably like that. This is kind of how people will like fight over like territory, right? As you slowly start to occupy more and more of it, and then as you occupy more and more of it, you kind of get more claims to the land. Yeah, like I think that a decent amount, I'm trying to think historically if I have more examples, I think they're so bad, but like a decent amount of claims on land can literally be like who lives there, right? So for instance, in India, one of the big issues going on to the north of India in that Kashmir region was Modi saying, hey, we're going to change the laws so that Indians can start moving north and buying land in the Kashmir region. And the point of that is that like, well, if we get more Indians moving in there, we get more Indians buying property there, you know, it kind of looks like ours. Like, are you really move in? Are you really going to move in and kick us out? Like, look how many Indians live there, right? Or same thing with the Xinjiang province in China, that big chunk of area to the northwest where all the Uyghurs live. Well, if China starts moving in ethnically Han Chinese people into that region, and then they start buying property there, and they start living there, like, okay, well, come on, this is our land. Like, look, that's our people there, right? Yeah, I think that's kind of like the idea. China, Xinjiang, sorry. Yeah, similar with Crimea and Russia. A lot of the people in Crimea identify as Russian. A lot of Russian people live in Crimea. Like, yeah, true. Yeah, so I think that's kind of like the, yeah. Annexing territory by force is a violation of the UN Charter, so even if you recognize it, it doesn't mean anything. That's why the idea is that you do things in small steps to gain recognition slowly. Sure, but if the U.S. would recognize it, and if embassies would start to get there, right? I think the goal is you want to put as many roadblocks up as possible towards moving this back. Like, imagine if Jerusalem was owned wholly by Israel, or 80% or whatever. East Jerusalem can be some Palestinians. Imagine if all the embassies moved in there, and then imagine if a big conflict happened, like what's happening now. It'd probably be a lot easier for Israel to be like, okay, this is bullshit. We need to kick the rest of the Palestinians out. It's f***ing up too much. Like, come on. We're already the capital. All the embassies are here. It would be easier to just move them out, right? So like you take these like steps to increase your valid claim of the territory, like time and time and time again. You get more and more points that like move you in the direction of like sole ownership of it, right? Oh, it's pronounced Crimea instead of Crimea. Crimea. Sorry. The embassy of the United States of America in Jerusalem is the diplomatic mission of the U.S. of America to the state of Israel. Okay, so we do have an embassy there now. I believe we do in Jerusalem. The embassy opened at its Jerusalem location on May 14th, 2018. It was relocated from its previous site in Tel Aviv by the Trump administration and is situated in what was previously the former U.S. consulate in the Arnona neighborhood. I wonder, and are there any other embassies in Jerusalem? Are there any embassies in Jerusalem? Okay, there are currently 90 embassies in Israel, of which 87 are located in Tel Aviv, and 3 are located in Jerusalem. So the 3 in Jerusalem are the United States, Kosovo, and Guatemala. Interesting. And then 87 others are in Tel Aviv and the others. Moving the embassy was just a loss of leverage for the U.S. over Israel. It seemed like the U.S. just gave Israel that for free, basically. Well, Israel is considered a huge strategic partner in the Middle East, so technically the U.S. wants to strengthen Israeli power there. The Kosovo one was probably in exchange for Israel recognizing their independence from Serbia. In the long term, wouldn't inaction by the larger nations favor Israel power? There is no such thing as inaction in the Middle East. Lefties and conservatives and libertarians like to pretend that the U.S. could just leave and then everything would be like, they would figure it out. But if we leave, like, Palestine gets a lot of foreign support from other countries, especially Iran. It's not like Palestine just does everything else. Hamas gets a lot of support from, I'm pretty sure even neighboring Hezbollah in... Hold on, somebody can... It's been a long time since I've like done Middle Eastern shit. But Hezbollah has a big presence in Lebanon. And I'm pretty sure they're supported pretty significantly by Iran, definitely by Syria. And I think that's where a lot of Hamas gets their like firepower and stuff from in this region, right? It's another thing too, right? It's also similar here over in Yemen, where people criticize the U.S. and Saudi Arabia's involvement in the Yemen civil war. But the reality is that the Yemen civil war is half represented by Saudi interests that ruled the previous kingdom there before it got like overthrown, I guess. But Iran has a vested interest in the other side as well. And obviously, Iran would love to have a country loyal to them. South of Saudi Arabia bordering here would be very nice. But yeah, this is there's a lot of like interests that people have related to Israel and the Palestinians that are coming from foreign actors. There's a lot of that, right? I think they meant not making a settlement by inaction. By that kind of inaction, yeah, Israel's getting the upper hand the longer the deal is not made. Well, no. I think that the longer the deal is not made, it really just depends on who lives where, right? So it sounds like, on the very little reading we've done, it sounds like what's happening is Palestinians are trying to build neighborhoods and trying to live in eastern Jerusalem because the more they can get living there, the more people they have there, the kind of the more legitimate claim they have to the land. And Jerusalem, Israelis in Jerusalem are trying to say, like, okay, hold on, well, if you want to build here, here's the permit. You've got to be able to do 52 backflips in order to have a house there. Otherwise, we're going to demolish, blah, blah, blah. And they're trying to put more and more roadblocks up so that they can kind of like move or gentrify or ethnically move like Palestinians out of East Jerusalem so that they can move more Israelis in, is what it sounds like, right? They're fighting over like who can inhabit like Eastern Jerusalem, basically. So, right, because both sides have a vested interest in living there. Because if Israelis can kick all the Palestinians out of Jerusalem for a while, then they have like a really strong claim to the land. Like, okay, well, you like, look, we're here. You're not. It's our city, right? Whereas the Palestinians are like, okay, well, hold on. Like, we live here. We've lived here for a long time. We want to continue to live here, and if we can, we want to push even further west, right? So there's just this vested territorial interest pushing against both sides. The March on Jerusalem Day, an annual event to mark the capture of East Jerusalem during the Arab-Israeli War in 1967, seen by Palestinians as a provocation. Palestinians claim East Jerusalem is the capital of the future state. Israel annexed it after 1967, a claim most of the world does not recognize. Despite international calls to tamp down the crisis, the Israeli government did little to de-escalate the tensions until Sunday night, when the Israeli Supreme Court delayed a decision on the eviction of the Sheikh Jarrah families. The ruling had been expected on Monday. The Israeli police decided Monday to block Jews from entering the Aqsa compound, known to Jews as the Temple Mount, and to Muslims as the noble sanctuary and holy to both religions. And minutes before the Jerusalem Day March was to begin on Monday afternoon, the government rerouted it on a less contentious path. Those measures came too late to contain the spiraling violence. The United States State Department condemned the Hamas attacks, calling them an unacceptable escalation. The department spokesman, Ned Price, called on all sides to de-escalate and avoid violence, but noted Israel's legitimate right to defend itself. Mr. Price also said the United States was deeply concerned about the violent confrontations in Jerusalem and praised Israel's efforts to reduce tensions there. But the Biden administration came under growing pressure on Monday from liberal activists and members of Congress to offer sharper criticism of Israel's government. J Street, a Washington-based liberal advocacy group, called on the Biden administration to make clear publicly that Israeli efforts to evict and displace Palestinian families in East Jerusalem and the West Bank are completely unacceptable. Asked about a charge on Sunday from Representative Ilhan Omar, Democrat of Minnesota, that Jerusalem's deputy mayor had endorsed ethnic cleansing, Mr. Price said, "It's not something that our analysis supports. The rockets fired at Jerusalem constituted a pointed escalation. Militants in Gaza had fired rockets into Israel overnight Sunday, after sending incendiary balloons into Israeli farmlands for the past several days, but the rockets had hit only open areas. Israel returned fire, barred fishermen from the territory from going to sea, and shut a key crossing between Gaza and Israel. The attack was a sharp departure from the usual rules." How many times is the word sharp been used? Okay, just one second. A sharp departure from the usual rules of the conflict with Hamas, starting with an explicit threat last week issued by Mohammed Daif, the commander-in-chief of the group's military wing. Rarely seen or heard from, Mr. Daif, is it just Daif? Or is it Daif? Just call him Dave? Where am I? Yes. Mr. Dave warned that Israel would pay a very heavy price for what he called the aggression against our people in Sheikh Jarrah. Hamas has created a new formula, said Michael Herzog, an Israel-based fellow with the Washington Institute for Near East Policy. They have created an equation where they try to deter Israel from taking actions in Jerusalem that they deem provocative, he said, and if Israel does not comply, they will fire. Besides the tensions in Jerusalem, the analysts said the internal Palestinian political rivalry was also fueling the current conflict, and in particular, the decision by President Mahmoud Abbas of the Palestinian Authority to postpone elections that had been scheduled for later this month. Hamas is trying to tell Abbas, in one way or another, "You are not the only person or party who calls the shots," said Mikhamir Abu Sada, a political science professor from Al-Aqsa University in Gaza. Israel has also inflamed the situation, according to Giora Island. These people should all just be named Dave or John, okay? A retired Israeli general and former national security advisor. "We were not careful in Jerusalem," he said, citing the policy of encouraging Jewish settlement in the heart of Palestinian neighborhoods of East Jerusalem, and the more tactical failures of handling the tensions in the city in recent days. At a very delicate time, toward the end of Ramadan, they gave Deif and the militants in Gaza the motivation to do what they did, he said. The scenes of a pitched battle at one of the world's holiest sites were shocking to many. Why have they been attacking the Aqsa Mosque during Ramadan? Asked Khaled Zabarka, 48, a lawyer who said he had been praying at the mosque compound before escaping after the first shots were fired. The Aqsa Mosque is a sacred place for Muslims. Israel is starting a religious war. Israeli officials said the police were reluctant to enter the site and did so only as a last resort. "We wanted today to pass as quietly as possible," said Mark Regev, Regev, a senior advisor to Mr. Netanyahu. Unfortunately, Palestinian extremists had the opposite goal. Videos posted on Twitter showed scenes of chaos earlier in the day, both outside and inside the mosque, where some worshippers could be seen sheltering from explosions, while others threw stones and set off fireworks. In another clip, police officers were seen striking a man being detained in part of the mosque compound. Early afternoon, police retreated from the site. Another video released by the police showed young men throwing stones from the perimeter of the mosque compound onto the lane below. A separate clip taken by a surveillance camera appeared to show a Jewish man swerving into a Palestinian who had been throwing stones at his car. Palestinians pulled open the car doors before policemen chased them away. The Hadassah Medical Center reported that a 7-month-old girl was treated after being slightly injured in the head by a rock. Scuffles also broke out in Sheikh Jarrah on Monday afternoon as a group of far-right lawmakers tried to march forcing their way into the street inhabited by the Palestinians listed for eviction. A group of leftist and Arab lawmakers blocked their path, setting off a brief scrum before at least one far-right lawmaker, Itamar Ben-Gvir, broke into the Arabs' lines. Why? I don't understand what do they mean when they say like leftist or far-right or whatever here? It seems kind of like a weird dichotomy. I'm not sure what. But everything is, I'm guessing, like I guess broadly speaking, right is just more nationalist, Israeli supporting whatever, and left is more Palestinian supported, I guess, but it's not Sheikh, it's pronounced Sheikh. Oh, okay. A group of, everything is connected. One of the Arab lawmakers, Aida Touma Slimane, said of the day's many intertwining tensions. The various standoffs across Jerusalem reflected the struggle of a people under occupation who want to liberate their land, houses, and souls, she said. Jesus, that's a lot of rockets. We can probably watch this, I guess, because there's nobody dying in this. Oh, these guys are like laughing about it, and then this. What are we watching? In Israel, I guess they're so used to having rockets lobbed at them, they have something called an Iron Dome. It's like the name for their missile defense system. Pretty sure how developed with help from massive from the U.S. Basically, the idea is that if you see a rocket coming, you can fire another missile up next to it, and you can detonate it next to the rocket so that it doesn't actually make it into Israel. There are a bunch of people like laughing around here that are like chilling, and then there's like a rocket that goes off like right next to it. Like, okay, time to leave. I think of this guy that just doesn't give a fuck. Alright. There's no violence here, don't worry. Just the guy eating. This kind of shit is why Americans need to shut the fuck up about their opinions on Gaza. We'll never have to like that. Yeah, so it's complicated because the problem is that structurally and bureaucratically, Israel has the upper hand. I don't think Palestinians can really do much. So violence is actually probably like the only option they have left, is what it seems like. There might be solutions in people that I'm not familiar with, but I don't know. It's hard to see a lot of what I would deem. As misinformation and ignorance from people I generally otherwise respect in most areas. Well, it makes you feel better. Most people don't do any reading or have any understanding of anything. They just repeat whatever the talking lines are. After doing more reading, which side would you take on this? I don't know what the right answer is. I don't know if there is a right answer for this. I truly do not know. I mean, like, there's legitimate arguments that if Palestinians were given, like, equal say in some two-state solution, that, like, Jewish people's interests could be marginalized. And, but then it also seems shit to just say, like, well, we're going to kick out all the Palestinians now, like, get fucked by. I don't know. That's a rough one. Make Jews breed more? Unironically, Israel is one of the only countries that has, like, a birth rate that's, like, decently high. Compared to, like, every other Western country. Yeah, at 3.0, this is actually very high. I'm not sure why or how they do this or what the... Well, if you ask alt-righters, I can tell you. Every other birth rate, I'm pretty sure in every other Western country is below 1.9 or 1.8, which is, like, considered the sustained rate or whatever. Or is it 2.0? I thought it was like 1.9 or something for some reason. I don't remember why. The US is at 1.7. Hasidic Jews? Oh, maybe. Maybe, I don't know. Is it 2.1? Okay. Do you think it's necessary? Do you think it's a necessity that Israel be a Jewish pseudo-ethno state? The argument is that if Israel doesn't explicitly prioritize protect Jewish people, that the world could fall back into rampant anti-Semitism. No idea. That's a hard one. It's, in my opinion, most forms of like ethnic shit are cringe. But like if other people are being ethnic, then you, in some ways you might be forced to. It's really complicated, right? Like technically in the US, it'd be cool if we could ignore everything about skin color, but that's pretty dumb to say when like some people are like still really big on skin color. Like there needs to be some like corrective force there or some recognition there, you know? So I mean, I don't know, it's a hard one. How is Palestine being ethnic? I don't know what the prevailing opinion is, but I know that there are certain Israeli groups that are loosely affiliated, at least with like Hamas or Hezbollah, that are like pretty anti-Jewish. Not even necessarily anti-Israel, but like anti-Jewish. I don't know how deep these ties run or how big or how actually true of their mission statements are, but like it's like I'm just not 100%. I couldn't tell you as much, but like yeah. You said Israeli groups, you meant Palestine. Did I say Israeli groups? Sorry, I meant anti-Israeli groups. Is there even a defensible position on Israeli settlements in the West Bank? I mean, Israeli settlements want to exist there, so Israel has more and more claims to the land. That's why they want to do it, right? Is they want to move. This is like how you do it, right? Is you move more and more people in, and then eventually, like, look, like we live here, it's our land. I'm just saying, I'm explaining why. So I'm not justifying it. I'm not saying that like this is good or whatever. I'm just explaining like the strategy. Why can't people separate descriptive claims from prescriptive claims? Because people just want to moralize every statement they make, because it's like all they're capable of thinking in terms of. Do you not have a particular stance regarding the general conflict? Is it too messy and complicated? You just not care? It's kind of a combination of all those things. I just like Israel and Palestine. It's not something that is generally that relevant all the time, so I don't do like a ton of research on it. So I don't have like a super strong opinion on it because I just haven't. Also, I don't know like how close they are moving towards anything. It just doesn't seem like there's like a lot of things I think that are worth my time in terms of like this might be what we're voting on or actively discussing, and I don't know if like Israel Palestine is one of those things because the U.S. for whatever reason seems to be unwilling to take a strong stance in regards to anything there. I don't know if they're just hoping that they'll figure it out themselves or what the thought process is. If you were the Israeli Prime Minister, what would you do? I don't know. Remember to hit that like and subscribe, and don't forget the notification bell so that my videos show up right in your feed.
Destroyed a turret. Your team has destroyed a turret.
He's gonna move on him because Thresh is coming. Oh. Oh, that's 4. We gotta kill the Lee, and then we get the free dragon. You know, cat goes home. Oh, altar. Oh, yes. Yes. Eater. Nice. Alright, let's take the dragon. We do have a ward. Who is it? Jinx already used a rocket. I don't think we gotta worry. 900 on smite. I don't know if I can take both these at once now. Long enough. More so on the Jinx. We need Aurelia and stuff here. It's not a good setup right now. Oh, I have a TP too, that's scary. I could have ulted in the charm. I just tried to read if this is our fight or not. Maybe if I can sneak around and get a fat ult. I mean, just one, that's not really that great. Aurelia's got some good cleanup though. Take Baron off that, or tower. Oh wow.
Rampage.
That's probably enough. We don't want to die and lose the dragon. I can have that one. I should shop. Greg.
An enemy has been slain. Double kill.
Hi guys, Alessi, hope you're well. In this video, I want to talk about a very Hi guys, Alessi, hope you're well. In this video, I want to talk about a very important question, which is when the next major bear market cycle in stocks occur, so when we go through the next major downtrend and bear market, which is likely to happen in the near future, what will happen to the crypto market? In fact, is it even a good idea to own crypto or Bitcoin during a bear market in stocks? So join me. Alright guys, welcome back. Before I start, let me just tell you where I am. I've been here now near the Caspian Sea a few days now, and today's a beautiful, cool day here near the Caspian coast, near Royan, here in the north of Iran. And I thought it would be a good idea to go for a walk and just to show you around briefly, and also talk about Bitcoin and the crypto market and what could potentially happen in the next major bear market cycle. So just to let you know, give you some context, I recently made a video for you, which you'll see very soon, about why it's very likely that we could be heading for a major bear market downtrend cycle in the stock market. In fact, this particular bear market cycle that I'm going to talk about is explained in this book, Conquering the Crash, written by Robert Prechter, one of the world's best Elliott wave technicians. So in this book, Robert Prechter essentially explains why we're potentially heading for a major bear market cycle in the stock market, and this could be a bear market cycle similar to the one we experienced back in the 1930s after the famous Wall Street crash. Now, of course, I'm making that video right now for you, so you'll be able to see it very soon. But in this video, I want to ask the question, what could happen to Bitcoin and crypto when eventually this bear market cycle occurs, potentially very near future? So let me first of all tell you what the author of this book, Robert Prechter, says about what may happen to crypto and Bitcoin during a bear market cycle in stocks. And I'll give you my own opinion in a few minutes. So by the way, just to let you know that Robert Prechter has an interesting few chapters in this book where he explains the causes of the next crash and also whether it's a good idea to own certain things like stocks, cash, gold, cryptocurrencies, and Bitcoin. As you can see, the titles of the chapters are right here in the book. Guys, take a look at this behind me, over here. These, I think, are the rice fields. I think they're planting things here. Okay, let's get back to what we're discussing about Bitcoin and crypto during a bear market cycle. Okay, so I want to read you a passage from this book, Conquering the Crash by Robert Prechter. And here's what he says. Let me just pause here. So on page 180 of his book, he says, actually explains what he said back in 2017 after the previous major bubble and top in the price of Bitcoin, when price of Bitcoin reached near $20,000 back in 2017. Here's what he says in this book. He says, sadly, cryptocurrencies had become, back then in 2017, the focus of yet another financial mania, thereby eliminating them for the time being from consideration as a good store of value. Again, it's talking in the context of the major bubble of 2017, when the price of Bitcoin essentially peaked to $20,000 and then crashed by 89% from that point on to late 2018. And he was right, by the way. He was right to warn about the major bubble and the mania in Bitcoin back in 2017 at the time. Now, here's what he says about Bitcoin going forward into the future. He says, practically speaking, Bitcoin has a big advantage over gold. Gold is too heavy to carry around, but you can go anywhere and retain access to store Bitcoins. Bitcoin also has a big advantage over state-run currencies, again, like the dollar, the euro, the pound, which is that it cannot be inflated. So why is this not a top choice for holding wealth? The answer is that if someone, someday, were to come out with a superior technology, which seems likely, Bitcoins could end up at the value of zero. The current blockchain on which Bitcoin is dependent has become slow and cumbersome while simultaneously requiring huge amounts of energy to maintain, making it unsuitable for everyday transactions and ripe for either improvement or replacement. Now, I realize that some of you who may be into the fundamentals of Bitcoin probably might disagree with that. You might actually reject that conclusion, and I understand that. Again, this is a fundamentals argument as opposed to a technicals argument, which, by the way, I myself and Robert Prechter are mostly into technicals. But again, from a fundamentals perspective, Robert Prechter's argument does actually make a good point. Even if you may not agree with the conclusions that, as he said there, that perhaps Bitcoin's technology is quite cumbersome and requires a lot of energy, and there may be a future technology that could replace Bitcoin, and perhaps the value of Bitcoin at that point could drop significantly. Now, again, he makes an interesting argument. It's possible. You might disagree with it. But again, Robert Prechter is not against cryptocurrencies. Again, he thinks it's actually probably better than gold. So let me tell you now about my own opinion. Again, my opinion is mostly based on what I see on the technicals as opposed to fundamentals. Personally, here's what I think is likely to happen to Bitcoin in the next major bear market crash in stocks. Now, I realize that if you are a Bitcoin fundamentalist, if you're a purist in Bitcoin, it's possible that you might say, well, look, if the stock market crashes, then why would this negatively impact Bitcoin? Bitcoin is not a stock market. But here's the major interesting thing we've realized now about Bitcoin. And here's why I think that there is actually an interesting correlation between the stock market and Bitcoin. Let me give you an example. At the start of the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic, you remember back in late February or March of 2020, when the bad news about COVID spread around the world, the bad news about a potential pandemic, you saw what happened to the stock market. The stock market dropped by 34%. But the same thing happened to Bitcoin too. Bitcoin fell at 50% from its highs. So again, if Bitcoin was going to be a safe haven in times of crisis, or indeed in times of uncertainty, like a pandemic or a stock market crash, then you would have thought, hang on a second, Bitcoin should not have dropped, but it did. And by the way, this is not the first time this happened. In previous times, when there's been a market crash or major uncertainty, Bitcoin has also dropped back then as well. So this tells us, in my view, that Bitcoin is a risk-on asset class, not a risk-off asset class. Which means what? Which means that when there's an appetite for risk, when people are happy, confident about the market, when things are okay, I should say, or fine or better, when the social mood is good and positive, Bitcoin seems to go up. In other words, when people like to take risks, Bitcoin goes up. But when people become afraid and when there is uncertainty, Bitcoin seems to go down. So what I'm saying is, when there's a risk for appetite, when the social mood is positive and good, when people feel confident about their life and everything else and about the world, Bitcoin goes up. But when everyone panics, when the social mood is negative and there's massive uncertainty in the markets, Bitcoin sells off. Bitcoin goes down. We saw this again in 2020 at the start of the COVID pandemic crisis. And again, it's quite likely that in the next major crisis, the next major uncertain event that may occur, potentially the next major market crash or bear market cycle, the same thing could happen to Bitcoin as well. When there's uncertainty, when there's less appetite for risk and more appetite for safety, I think the same thing will happen as happened in the past, which is Bitcoin will likely sell off, probably drop by about 50% or more. And I think we could see the same thing happening to other cryptos as well, because when Bitcoin drops, it seems to drag other cryptos down with it. It's quite possible in the next major bear market cycle, quite a few of the cryptocurrencies we've heard of so far will probably go to zero and may become worthless. In fact, they could be already worthless. So what I'm saying is, from a sentiment and technicals point of view, as opposed to a fundamentals point of view, I think it's quite probable, very likely in the next major market crash in stocks, I think Bitcoin will be dragged down with it. Again, we've seen a correlation between Bitcoin and the S&P already. So guys, in summary, Robert Prechter, the author of this book, does not think it's a good idea to own cryptocurrencies or Bitcoin in a market crash, in a bear market cycle in stocks. I also share his sentiments based on technicals. All right, guys, before I finish, let me just say this, that if you haven't read this book, if you haven't got this book yet, then do get it. As you know, knowledge is power, and the sooner you can prepare yourself for the next major downtrend, meltdown, or bear market cycle in stocks, the better. So this is a really interesting book to read. All right, guys, have a fantastic week. Bye for now.
Oh man, that's such cool architecture. I think he's in Iran. It's like finance dude I follow, like travels the world, and I think he's in Iran right now. But like the architecture and stuff is so cool. Or he's on the Caspian Sea. Iran's not on the Caspian Sea, is it? I forget what country he said he's in. Syria maybe? No, because Syria is like war torn.
30 seconds until minions
Somewhere in the Middle East. I don't remember where the Caspian Sea is. I don't remember. But it's cool though. Be nice. Be a full-time trader. Travel the world.
First
I guess it's like working from home. Basically the same thing we do in tech already, I suppose. Yeah. Let's see. Kale? Ah, I should have taken the stacking thing. 'Cause we can kill Kale a lot early game. ESF Grande. Oh, mid, interesting. Usually Kale goes top. Let's see how she does. About to take a lot of creep fire here. Oh, I'm about to take a lot of tower fire. Gonna jungle again. Everybody's doing that these days. Oh, she's ganking already. Heck, dude. Get out of here. He's gonna come around again and try to kill me, but and that guy can't help. He's about to die. Morgana's gonna come. She saw me use flash. Good old ward down. Keep the party going.
An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain. An ally has been slain. An ally has been slain.
Alright, so Kale is going home to shop, so I should probably let it shove. Deny her some creeps and experience. Up to me. Oh, she used TP already, wow. It's good to have that out. Here's the thing, she's easy to gank if Ethan wants to. No, we can't, dude.
been slain. Enemy double kill. An enemy has been slain.
I think I have enough creeps now where if she did gank, nothing we could do. How many creepos? Oh, now there's not enough creeps. No, I almost had enough mana for an order. One more key would be done. I do have double his farm though. Got the easy. Let's get the kill stacking thing. I don't get people to play Lee Sin that don't gank early. It's kind of like he's only strong early game. Completely falls off after like level 13. So I went to use him early game. I like one of the strongest early games. He should be invading Morgana actually, like her Black Shield doesn't even do anything against his physical damage. Got down here. BS. Nice. That's a shame though. Gonna get out. What am I supposed to do, man? Use their shit on him. That's all we got. Three stacks already. Woo. Wait for 800, get to mid fast enough to catch that wave. Yeah. Let's go. That's a shame we didn't gank Kale at all before 6. I guess we did once, just didn't work out. But yeah, unless we shut Kale down early, shut her out of farm and stuff. Really hard late. Especially now that she's got ranged autos, I can't even like harass her out of CS anymore. Oh, but I do chunk her for tons of damage. He's just got nothing but attack speed, I see. That's great damage. Alright. Are they doing dragon or something? Is Morg ganked bot and now Kale's missing. I feel like they might be on dragon. Oh, alright. I'm warding it anyway. I'm heading out. Or are we gonna fight down here? I'd be down to fight this. What do we want? Dragon? No. Yeah, I can't catch mid either, it's too dangerous. That Morgana's up. Kale's probably waiting for me to come around. Someone's important dragon, probably Kale. Oh no, Morgana was at Rift, so. Get there in a moment. Hopefully you don't die. Oh my god! Watch out for that. upgraded those Qs, is she? Oh, no way. That's a shame. Oh, kick. Or does she have ult? Aha! Oh, the Herald almost killed me. Oh, god. I've got ult soonish? 10 seconds, if we could just stop him for 10 seconds. Wait, where'd she go? Nice. Huge shutdowns. Oh, shit. Who'll be that? Kale. I'm leaving his flash it too. Oh god. I'm happy with that. Nice, let me clean that up too. Be good. 10 stacks to upgrade to Magi's. Is coming. Careful for that. I can kinda intercept her, but like a little bit. What the frick is going on here? I expected her to like chill or something in there. Oh shit. Hope he doesn't have friends. I don't think he does. Oh no, buddy. Ooh. I don't know if we want to fight that. Yikes. 19 till ult. Seven. 3, 2. I don't know if I need to ult for Braum though. Nice. Hope we got both those cuts. We could kill her if she comes around. Haha. There was a ward in here too. Wow, that was close. Too close for comfort. Dang, she knew the black shield too. Ooh. I'm up cooldown just in time. No plating. Push. It's help. Yeah. Draven's gonna run away with it if we're not careful. At least, hopefully, stop them from taking bottom tower here. Jeez, it's flashing and everything. Maybe not. I'm gonna lose my stacks. Didn't think Braum had all of his summoners and everything. Flash ult ignited. Draven flashed. Oh, nice. He went 3 top to give Darius a triple kill instead of going bottom to stop the Draven. Yeah, he's got shield bow, so I need this, and Kale's going for Omni, right? Alright, we can nuke him, we can nuke him. We can nuke him. Oh my god, no way. Oh, I want this, I want this, I want this.
Your turret
Sorry, I want the stacks. Not bad, dude. Want the stacks. Can't get to her net with W. Well, oh. Gonna flash ult, kill ult. Almost killed her.
slain.
Jace could finish him off. Probably recalling around here. I know there she is. She's right there. She's right there. Oh. Get one of those. Dragon soon? Yeah. I can't believe there's only been one dragon taken so far. 16 minutes.
Turret.
Let's go get the dragon. We'll kill Darius. Darius isn't that scary. Wow. Oh, I don't know. You guys top side again. Guess we're surrendering the Fire Drake. Yeah. Lee Sin doesn't want the Fire Drake, but he also didn't want to stop Morgana from taking the Herald. Lee Sin queued up for this game, but he hasn't started playing it yet. Oh dude, you fucking kicked him out of my thing. Holy shit, so bad. Nice. A little sloppy. I think I missed Q there. We got 22 stacks now. Yeah. Lee Sin pings a freaking Herald that he blatantly just watched her do. Map awareness. Or we can kill him if he stays. I don't think he's gonna stay, right? He's not gonna stay. What do we want instead? We already gave up all the objectives. I'm a little afraid to walk through here, to be honest. Yeah, there's a Draven for you. Dang, I've almost got ult too. Aim. Oof. I know how this Draven keeps doing it.
Rampage.
They're scared, as they should be. Oh, you didn't shoot me? time. Too bad Caitlyn didn't have ult there though. Yeah. We could take a wild guess for Draven. Dang. Oh. What are we doing? 17 for ult. Bottom. Oh, nice! Work there, dude. Coming down to save him from the inevitable gank. Nothing? No gank? I want to use my ult before I go home. Kill the Draven mid or something. I don't know. Suppose he has a ward. And he's always around Braum, which is super annoying. And he could just be playing cool like he's got a ward or something. Is Morgana up there? Oh. Ooh, Darius step. A little dicey. Dicey. I should probably go shopping, to be honest. But, I mean, the dragon's gonna be freaking gone. I don't know if we can do anything about that. No, dudes. Well, now Baron's gone. New objective control. Got your back if you want to fight him, dude. Want to go? I'll do it. No? Maybe we could have fought him, dude. Oh my god, my 1Q did that much to him. Savage.
Rampage.
Oh no. No way. That's sad. Dude, please, Lee Sin, please. Nice! Okay. See if Kale checks down here. Oh, Morgana. Got the black shield out, which is big. I guess there's no dragon, so they're not gonna check down here. They're just gonna go straight to Baron or something. Baron. Oh wait, no, Baron's not even up. Huh. Can't get nothing. Oh, that's our bad. Not have done that. Ooh, trusted that Caitlyn actually worked. I think she's fine. And the kill is super annoying, right? I wouldn't do it with Darius. Oh no, dude. What's that other one do again? Is it for like melee? Healing or shielding enhances both view. Interesting, so it's like a support one. Okay, well, I think we definitely want that for Darius and Draven. And probably, actually, we can just burst him down with this, but eventually we'll get this. Maybe now let's just get another of those. Crap tons of damage. Damage is the most important thing. Most important thing is to just do what tons of damage. Okay, I'd probably just destroy Draven with ult alone. Point behind him. Not get caught by Morgana or something. Black shield. Oh. I could nuke down Morgana as well, but she's not worth shut down. She's not as much of a threat as Draven is. Nice to land an initial Q too, makes the ult a little easier. I'm not gonna risk it because he's got the move speed and everything. I need Lee Sin and Jace. The other team is kind of hard to start something. Get a lucky pick. They're going to be doing Baron, obviously. Dang. Well, that's game. 24-9 Draven, holy crap. Maybe I should have just started by ulting Baron, because I probably could have killed Draven first. I don't know if I feel like playing Xerarth again. Getting kind of tired of it. Maybe Syndra to shake it up, but then it's easy to get counterpicked. Or Akali could be fun for a change. Alright, Akali. Actually, on second thought.